Change of pace now, and times are tough, as we know, for lots of people right around the country. Many are still trying to rebuild after natural disasters like those terrible floods in northern New South Wales. Many people, charities, have helped people rebuild their lives along the way, including the charity Good 360. And it's a delight to have the founder and managing director, Alison Covington, with me this morning. Good morning, Alison. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
Very good, thanks. Now, tell us about Good 360 Australia.
So Good 360 Australia exists to help people in need. So we connect businesses' spare and excess goods to vulnerable Australians all around the country.
Why did you start Good 360 in Australia?
So we recognise that businesses didn't have a way to donate their spare and excess goods, and more than $2.5 billion worth of goods are spare and excess every year, yet 1 in 6 Australians live below the line of poverty, and we just couldn't believe there wasn't a way for these businesses to donate these goods at speed and scale, and where Australians needed access to these goods, we just had to make it easy for charities and schools to be able to distribute these into their communities.
So how's the last 3 years been?
I think, like for all Australians, charities have been doing it we've been pretty busy, and we service more than 3,500 charities around the country. So we've been busier than ever. So it has been quite exhausting, but also very rewarding to be able to help Australians.
Now, I think a lot of people that listen to the radio will hear some ads. Sometimes you need to think outside the box, and I've done lots of work for the organisation Storage King. You've teamed up with them in a really nice fit. Tell us about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, getting funding into charities is really quite difficult. So being able to think outside the box, as you said, has been a brilliant campaign with Storage King. So, corporates can assist by providing funding, and Storage King has stepped up again because they helped us last year. So they've stepped up again in April. So for every packaging box that their customers purchase, they're donating $1 to Good 360. And that $1 enables us to be able to deliver $20 worth of essential items to people in need. So it's a great campaign, and it's, as you said, it's a way of thinking outside the box to how to support charities, support vulnerable Australians.
How many people are still struggling out there?
It's incredible. So when I started with 360, I thought I was helping disadvantaged Australians. And as you said, over the last 3 years, we've had this new cohort of Australians who have become vulnerable themselves because they've been in disasters. So they've lost their homes due to drought and fire, and then we've had flood, and it's been even more difficult with COVID. So people who were the generous ones donating to these appeals are now finding it tough themselves. And now we've found another cohort of people through cost of living crisis. So, it's our essential workers, it's our frontline workers, it's our teachers. And now it's the charity workers themselves are finding it really tough. So we've got all these new Australians who I didn't know I was helping when I started with 360 now need our support. So it's getting tougher and tougher for more Australians.
Yeah, and it's warms your heart when you look at some of the produce that's being put on the back of the trucks that are going to help people, from mattresses to fridges to small items. But you just touched on the whole idea of cost of living. We've seen 10 interest rate rises. We're about to see the Treasurer come out with his findings into the Reserve Bank. Many Australians went into a certain amount of debt with the confidence that they weren't going to see interest rates rise to 2024, and they've just been smashed.
Yeah, it's incredible. And, I find it with my own team, like everybody's, really conscious. We went into Christmas and, where people were really excited about Christmas, everybody was really quite nervous. And now everybody continues to be nervous. So it's across Australia that, it's doing it tough. And so, you might have seen just some footage there about laptops. We've got 1 in 4 Australians are excluded from the digital divide. So through COVID, we had to, get digital like we're doing now. But, there's so many people who can't do that. And so it's a struggle for parents knowing that, you have to do BYO devices for your school. And there's so many reasons why it's just tougher for all Australians. As I said, there's so many more, and it's just doesn't have the money in the pocket that we had before. So it's, our teachers, our nurses, our essential workers, our office workers, our charity workers. So that's where we come to support everyday Australians. And we have campaigns where we're saying we have to help everyday Australians just get back on their feet. And I think it's going to be quite a few years. The media's reporting it could be another decade. So we have to be there and stand with each other and those that can support. And you could see that with Storage King. They've got a campaign saying we can support. I think it's important that we just keep standing with each other.
How do you fund the work you do for Good 360 Australia? Because you get no government money.
No, and that's really frustrating because, everyday essential items is important to keep Australia running because we need to get these goods into the hands of people that need them. And as I said, there's $2.5 billion worth of goods going to waste. Government support would enable us to do more work and scale up our operations. So we do get funding from, corporate partners, from philanthropy and really generous Australians who make donations. But some government support would enable us to do that. And, they do make very generous funding to provide food relief, but it's important that we are able to get, clothing and personal essential items. And then when somebody's washing machine breaks down, we can replace that. And that's really important that people know that we can stand with them in these essential times. And we have through disasters, we've put more than $170 million worth into disasters without that funding.
Alison, it's a great initiative and it continues to grow and grow. Let's hope the government get behind it and any of our great business people, because we have a wonderful viewing audience all around the country watching this, to get involved. They just need to contact Good 360.
Yes, we'd really appreciate that. I think, as I said, if we all stand together, we'll be able to support more people.